We know our contestants are ready. Our audience is ready. Chuck, are you ready?
Roddy, you can bet your backside I'm ready. Let's see if our contestants can overcome the odds, leave the arena with buckets full of cash, and grasp those!
And I'm ready too, Chuck. Let's do this. Alright, this isn't an actual 80s game show deathmatch battle royale. Right, it's a video game by Bosky Productions. We're gonna take a look at it today. And if you're thinking, Bosky, that sounds like a familiar name. Didn't you make some videos about a game of theirs recently? Yeah, it was called Lawbreakers. It wasn't a bad game, but it grossly overestimated the interest in an old school arena shooter. So now, are they grossly overestimating the interest in an 80s style battle royale game set to compete pretty much directly with Fortnite? You could say it kind of competes with H1Z1 as well, but H1Z1's on the way out if we're all being honest. Now I hope you guys like cheese because this game has got a ton of it. It's sort of like taking the Running Man and turning it into a battle royale style game with an extra bit of 80s flair to it, if that's even possible.
Hey audience, are you ready for another exciting round of America's #1 game show? Then let's get this thing started!
Now right off the bat, something I appreciate about this game is the new spawn-in system. Rather than just copying PUBG and Fortnite, you spawn around the perimeter of the map, evenly spaced out, and you can basically just fall into an area somewhat close to you. And if you go straight down, you'll get there quicker than other players. So this kind of gets people spread out more rather than having a plain delivery system dropping people in more of a line. So you spread out around the perimeter of the match and you often end up close to people at the start. So it works pretty well from that perspective. In addition to that, it uses a grid system instead of a shrinking circle. The grid system is actually similar to what the actual Battle Royale movie used, and Brendan Green even said that he wanted to do a grid system with his original mod, but he couldn't figure out how to code it in, so they just went with a shrinking circle. The grid system is nice, superior in my opinion, because one, it doesn't let you predict where ultimately the game's going to end very well, so rather than trying to figure out where to go, you just kind of go around looking for loot and bad guys to fight. On top of that, I never once died to the danger zone in the grid system. It gives you plenty of time to escape it, and you usually don't have to go too far to get out of it. So that's really nice considering how many times I've died to the circle system in PUBG. Like the other battle royales though, you don't start off with a weapon. You can find weapons in the game world, but what is a more common strategy is actually finding cash and money, or like things that are worth money, lying around in the environment, and then you can go up to machines, dispenser machines, and purchase weapons from them. This can be a little bit tricky, or it was a little hard for me to figure out at the start, but once I kind of got the hang of it and where the best cash options were in the game, I could get guns relatively quickly, but at the very start I was kind of running around without weapons for a bit longer than I wanted. There's also a few fun in-game prize reward systems, ones where you have to like stand on a platform for a while and it plays a song that's very loud for everybody around you to hear. And if you stand on it for the full duration, a door will open and you'll get access to some loot behind a door. So it's sort of like the classic game shows of picking what's behind door number 1 or something like that. But it's a good system to sort of risk versus reward. You have to make a lot of sound and anybody around you is going to come try and kill you while you're doing that. As you can see, the game is third person, so it has that cheesy corner peeking mechanics. It also has some pretty cheesy dodging mechanics, which are a bit too fast in my opinion, but they try and let you get out of harm's way if you live long enough to survive. There's body armor, and then there's helmet armor, and then you can get up to 3 different weapons and 3 different gadgets. Every time you kill an enemy player, they'll drop a backpack and a gun belt, which will each let you carry an additional weapon and gadget. So there is an actual reward to killing other players, even if you still have a decent weapon or something like that. You'll get more the option to carry more gadgets. It's not too hard though to get this fully maxed out. One thing I'm not crazy about right now, and remember this is super early access, or they call it like extreme early access in game, is that at the moment having high level armor and gear gives you a massive advantage. Now it does give you an advantage in other games as well, but I feel like the advantage in this game might even be more significant than it is in PUBG. And I just found myself in a few firefights where I felt like I put like 15 rounds into an enemy and then they shot me like twice and I died. And it was like, so it felt kind of unfair given the huge advantage you can get from some of the high level armor in the game. I need to play it a little bit more to sort of decide how I feel about it, but it does feel like a very, very significant advantage. And if you get fairly well kitted out toward endgame, but say one of your last encounters wipes away your body armor, you can go down in a matter of like 1 or 2 shots, it almost feels like. I had deaths that felt like absolutely instantaneous when you're not wearing body armor, and that didn't feel particularly great, so I feel like that still needs a bit of tweaking. The endgame circle also felt pretty darn slow. There wasn't a huge incentive at the very, very end of the game, especially if you ended up in a decent spot to do any sort of moving around, and I had a few matches where my best tactic was to just literally sit still for several minutes waiting for combat. And I was kind of hoping that this game might push the action a little bit more, encourage you to go out and run around a little bit more, but like many other battle royales, camping is a very good tactic, and it's how I won my first game. I really didn't have that many kills overall. I just waited and waited and waited until the last guy showed himself and then shot him. So despite this game improving upon the spawn system and the circle system with what I think are just generally superior to PUBG and Fortnite, it can't really fix some of those endgame issues of just pure camping boredom, which seems to be integral to most battle royale shooters out there. I'm sure there's some mechanics that devs could come up with to try and make that process or that part of the game a little bit less painful. But this game certainly has all the same camping that you will find in other battle royales. Made even worse by the fact that it is a third-person shooter, which allows you to hide behind a wall, look out from behind it using your third-person perspective camera, and not have to expose yourself to danger. It allows players to pop out at the last minute, surprise somebody, and absolutely obliterate them without any real risk to themselves. One of my least favorite things about third-person games, and I was hoping that maybe this game would take a first-person perspective, but we'll have to wait and see. It's also running on the Unreal Engine. I had okay performance in it, but a lot of people have complained that this game performs really poorly. I imagine that won't be an issue for long. If there's at least one thing that a Cliff Bleszinski game can do well, it's optimize the Unreal Engine. They optimized the heck out of Lawbreakers. It performed extremely well, and I imagine that this game will get there as well. It just usually happens that optimization comes a little bit later in development, and that can be a really annoying part of early access games. This is a free-to-play, if I forgot to mention that early on, which again makes it a strong contender against Fortnite as the other free-to-play battle royale. It does also appear that there won't be any sort of monetary advantage you can get in this game. All the monetary transactions will be cosmetic only as far as I can tell. A lot of the cosmetic items you will also be able to buy with your in-game earned cash. And so basically, as you get money in the game world and you spend it on in-game weapons, also if you win or you die, a lot of that money goes back with you to your account at the end of the day, and you can use that to buy more cosmetic items. So you have two options to get cosmetic items. I'm sure some of the cosmetics will be only purchasable with real world money as opposed to in-game money, but you know, it's a good thing to state and sort of get out of the way. There's no pay to win system as far as I can tell. The weapon handling and gunplay feels pretty easy to use. It's certainly nowhere near as challenging as PUBG to get a lot of shots on target quickly, so I don't feel like I'm fighting my weapons quite as much. I'm usually fighting the other player's body armor, which again makes a massive difference in how many shots you need to kill your opponent. The gunplay itself feels pretty solid. It rewards you for quickness and accuracy. Headshots, I imagine, will do more damage, and you can aim for the head. Part of the problem though is that enemy players move so quickly and have crazy dodge abilities that it almost doesn't make sense to go for the headshots unless your opponent is standing still. Otherwise, you're just going to have to kind of spray for the body. So I think there could be a little bit of finesse done with the movement system. It's all very fast movement and very fast time to kill in general. So it's a quick game. Can be fun if you like that kind of thing. I wouldn't call it sort of your more slow-paced, methodical, tactical shooter. You're not going to be standing in a corner leaning left or right just to expose a small part of your body. You're going to be going full-on, guns blazing in most situations. Anyway, it's a free-to-play game. It's on Steam right now. I recommend checking it out. There will be some performance issues and bugs and all that, as it is extreme early access. But it's a good contender. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this game. It's quite cheesy, so prepare yourself. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.